Alrighty, hey Amanda, just working on the video that you asked for us to do this week. Hope you're doing alright. I'm super bummed we don't get to dissect every day. This was one of my favorite classes, but we'll make do with what we got. So I'm going to just walk you through the brachial plexus really quick. I already drew it out just for time's sake so that the video wasn't too long. I'm sure you might get tired of looking at this with all like 22 something students you have, but here we go. So this is the left brachial plexus, and it starts with the roots that originate from the spinal cord over here. So you have your C5 root, C6 root, C7 root, C8, and T1 roots. Each of those roots then moves into a trunk, so the C5 and C6 come together to form this upper trunk here. The C7 root travels along by itself and forms the middle trunk, and the C8 and T1 roots come together and form the lower trunk. So now at this point, each of these trunks is going to divide into an anterior and posterior division, with each of the anterior divisions coming together and each of the posterior divisions coming together. So you can see here the upper trunk divides into anterior and posterior. The C7 middle trunk divides into the anterior, which meets with the anterior from the upper trunk to form the lateral cord. Down here, the C8T1 lower trunk, the anterior branches off and forms its own medial cord. The C7 posterior division and lower posterior division form with the upper posterior division to form the posterior cord. This posterior cord is not named because it is formed with the posterior divisions. It's in reference to where the axillary artery passes through, and that's the same with the lateral and medial cords. So the axillary artery passes through right here and goes posterior to the median artery. So this posterior cord right here is posterior to the axillary artery, with the lateral cord being lateral to it, and obviously the medial cord being medial to the axillary artery. I couldn't really figure out a good way to draw it in there without it being way too messy, but hopefully you got the idea there. So each of the cords then branches off into the terminal branches, and so there's 3 terminal branches that innervate the anterior part of the arm, or the flexor muscles in the arm, and that's going to be up here, the musculocutaneous, the median, and the ulnar nerves. So the musculocutaneous is more just the anterior muscles in the upper arm. The median is more of the muscles in the anterior forearm or the antebrachium region, and then the ulnar is going to be the anterior part of the forearm on the ulnar side of the arm, so the most lateral. Most medial. And then if we go back to the cords that go posterior, they're going to control the muscles and innervate things in the posterior region, or the extensors of the arm. So this axillary one is much smaller than the radial one, and it's basically going to innervate things in the axillary or armpit region of the body, with the radial going more posterior and innervating things on the posterior side of the brachium and antebrachium, including the triceps and muscles on the radial side of the forearm. So those are the big, really easily defined things with the brachial plexus. Another really big identifier is this M shape that is formed by the anterior cords that are formed, and that's a really easy way to tell what when you found the brachial plexus in the body. So then from there, there's a bunch of branches that come off of the brachial plexus that then innervate other muscles in the body. So for example, the dorsal scapular comes off here up at the C5 root, along with the long thoracic nerve, which innervates the teres minor muscles, and that comes off the C5, C6, and C7 roots. Right here, right off the C5 and C6, right before you get to the upper trunk, you have the nerve to the subclavian muscle. And then in this upper trunk right here, you have the suprascapular muscle, which goes to your supraspinatus and infraspinatus muscles. So those are really the only ones that come off before you get to the divisions. In the divisions, there are no branches that come off, but there are a number of branches that come off in the cord. So up here on the lateral cord, you have the lateral pectoral nerve, which goes to your pectoralis major, and then on its counterpart down here, the medial pectoral nerve, innervates your pectoralis minor and your pectoralis major. So this one, the pectoralis major, kind of gets dual innervation there. And just below this, you have the medial cutaneous nerve of the arm. So that's basically the skin of your brachium, and then the medial cutaneous nerve of the forearm, which that's going to go down and innervate the skin of the forearm. And then in the middle here, you have the upper subscapular nerve. All three of these here come off the posterior cord of the brachial plexus here. So the upper subscapular nerve is going to innervate your subscapularis, with the lower subscapular nerve all the way up here at the top, innervating your teres major and subscapularis. So again, two nerves here that innervate this subscapular muscle. And then right in the middle is the thoracodorsal muscle or nerve, which is going to go down and innervate your latissimus dorsi on your back. So brachial plexus here summed up, I don't know, hopefully well and correct, but a very interesting and integral part of the arm, the muscles, and I think it's pretty cool. So hopefully I covered everything that you needed to know, from roots, trunks, divisions, cords, and branches, and then all of the separate nerves that come off of it. Again, pretty cool. Let me know if I missed anything or if you want to see more of a certain area, but hopefully I covered it all. Stay safe out there. Thanks.